Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Gabby, welcome back to my channel, and today I wanted to be doing kind of a more like chatty video with you about DNFing books. If you don't know what DNF means, it means did not finish. I don't know why there tends to be some like very huge differences in the book community of what people think about DNFing books and whether or not they count towards the books that you've read or not because you didn't technically finish them. And so I just wanted to make a video talking kind of about my thoughts on it and kind of like the rules that I have for myself about DNFing books. I decided sometime around like late 2017 or early 2018 that I don't give a fuck anymore about DNFing books. I read for fun, you know? Like, reading is a pleasure of mine and I do it for fun. So if I'm not enjoying something, I'm not gonna finish it. Like, I don't care. And I know that sometimes people will be like, well, sometimes you just gotta stick it out until the end and then it's like worth it at the end. But like most of the time, like, trust me, 99% of the time when I feel like I want to DNF a book but then I finish it anyway, I'm like, why did I waste my time on this? Like, I knew I didn't like it and I knew I wasn't gonna end up liking it. Very, very rarely will I ever end up loving a book that I originally wanted to DNF pretty close to the beginning. But I also do have a set of rules for myself as far as if I DNF a book, do I count that towards my reading goal, like, of the year? Like, do I count it as a book read? For me, like, my personal rule that I have for myself is that I try to read to 50% of the book before I mark it as a DNF that I have read. And I know that there's like a lot of controversy around even counting books as read if you DNF them because they're like, you didn't even finish it, you have no right, like you can't rate it because you didn't finish it and whatever. And it's like, that's fine, like you can have your opinions on it, like that's fine. But like for me personally, like I feel like if I've read 50% or more of a book, then I'm gonna count it towards my reading goal for the year because I read 50% or more of the book. If I think by the 50% point that I'm not enjoying it, then like I'm not gonna enjoy it and I'm still gonna count it as read because it was something that I read, you know what I mean? For example, when I read The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, that book is 700 pages long and I read 300 pages of it and it took me so long to read those 300 pages of it, but like of course I'm gonna mark that book as read. I read 300 pages of it. There was a really great comment on my wrap-up video that was saying like they count every book that they DNF as read because there's probably a novella out there that's just as long, so it would make sense for them to count it as read because they read however many X number of pages of it. I don't know, like for me personally, if I only read like 50 to 100 pages of a book, it depends on the length of the book, but most of the time I'm just gonna have that as like a DNF and not count it towards my end of the year review and not review it and not rate it and just act like it never happened. But for me personally, if I read over 100 pages of the book and depending on the length of the book, like, cause you know, The Goldfinch, I read 300 out of the 700 pages, so that's not technically 50% of the book, but like 300 pages, like by 300 pages, if you're not enjoying the book, I think you know that you're not gonna like it, and I think you have a right to rate it and mark it towards your goal because I've read plenty of other books that are 300 pages or less and those all count towards my goal, you know what I mean? I don't know if that's like great logic or not, but that's like the way that I think about it. If you put that much time into reading a book that you read more than 50% of it, then I think that you have a right to mark it as a book that you read for the year because you read more than 50% of it. That's just a personal rule that I have for myself, but I know that it obviously varies for people and people do have vastly different opinions when it comes to this. Like there are definitely some strong-minded people out there that think you cannot ever mark a book as read if you DNF'd it. I get them in the comments all the time. They're the book police. But I've just gotten to that point where I'm just like, I don't care. If I'm not enjoying a book, I'm not gonna finish it because life is too short. I feel especially bad though DNFing books that I got sent to review, like from publishers. Like those are the kind of situations where I feel especially terrible if I DNF a book, and it's like I try to read so much further than I usually would. Like if I'm feeling like I'm not enjoying a book but it was sent to me for review, then I feel a lot more pressure to continue reading and hoping that it gets better so that I can leave a positive review. But most of the time that doesn't end up happening and I either end up DNFing it anyways or I end up giving it a poor review anyways because it wasn't something that I enjoyed. So like that's especially like ugh. Or if it's a book that I really had high expectations for, like this has happened too so many times. Like it's one of my highest anticipated books of the year, cough, Daisy Jones and the Six, the first time I read it. and I push myself to continue reading even though I'm really not enjoying it, because I'm like, this is one of my most anticipated books of the year. I know I'm gonna love it. Just give it time. I have to love this. I have to love it. And then I just feel so disappointing and so crushed when I don't end up loving books that I really expected to love. And then that also sucks. And then when I have to DNF those books, I feel guilty too, because I had hyped them so much in my head, and I had hyped them probably to you because I'm like excited about it. Or if I DNF a book that somebody has like recommended to me thinking I would really enjoy it, then it makes me sad. But I generally don't feel all that guilty about DNFing books because life is too short. And like honestly, I feel like if you feel guilty about DNFing books sometimes, then like just look at the bigger picture, you know? Like, life is too short for you to read books that you're not enjoying. Unless they're, like, required reading or something for school, or, like, something that you're actually required to read for your job or something. But, like, I'm just talking about reading in general, like, reading for pleasure. I get maybe if you're reading with the hope that the book eventually gets better, but, like, in my experience, most of the time it doesn't. Like, most of the time you can get a mood for the book right away in the first 100 pages or so. From there, you can pretty much decide if it's something you're actually gonna like or not, like, at least from my experience. But yeah, I just wanted to make a full video discussion about this because I do get a lot of questions from people being like, well, how far do you read into a book before you mark it as a DNF and you still mark it for your goal, or like, whatever. And it's like, it's different for everyone. Like, everyone has their own things. Like, it's fine if you want to read the first like 50 pages of a book and still mark it as read. Like, I probably wouldn't do that, but like, you do you. Like, I don't care. Like, that's fine. Like, I'm not gonna go commenting on people's videos being like, oh my god, you only read the first 70 pages, so it doesn't count as read. Like, I honestly don't care that much. But like, just for me personally, I feel like I have to read at least like 150 to 200 pages depending on the length of the book before I use that book towards my reading goal for the year. And some people might disagree and say that that's not okay. And it's fine. We all have our different opinions. Like, it's literally fine. Like, I don't care. I guess just let me know your thoughts on DNFing books. Like, do you have your own set of rules for yourself about DNFing books? Or are you one of those people that is like, I'm gonna finish every single book that I start? Because if you are, I mean, that's awesome for you. And like, that's really cool. I could never. But that's great if you have that kind of like motivation and determination. I just think that reading is meant to be fun, and if I'm not having a good time, then I'm not gonna read it, you know? Thank you so much for watching as always, and let me know what you think about these more like chatty kind of videos about something related to books, and if you'd like to see more of that kind of thing in the future. Thank you guys for watching as usual, and I will see you guys soon with a new video.